Well, g'day fishers, Brent from Tackle Port Stephens with this week's fishing report. You guessed it, the weekend, well, we're back to plenty of westerly winds. Like I said last week, I want the weekend to be Wednesday, Thursday. It might change the weather pattern, see how we go. But anyway, some good fish caught this week. For those that managed to have days off during the week, you would have seen on our social, especially Instagram, we've been putting up some cracking fish this week. Some really nice snapper about at the moment. So those that went out there and braved the weather actually found some really nice fish. So if you get that weather window, go and take it because there are some good fish about at the moment. So inside the bay's been a little bit slower this week. Obviously the wind factor, the westerlies and the water that it's cooled down as well. But in saying that, there's still some really nice brim around, especially if you're land-based off the Anchorage breakall, the Nelson Bay breakall as well. Down off Little Beach on the western end wharf there's been some good brim down there, especially on the incoming tide. We've got the full moon this weekend, so bigger tides this weekend, up to nearly 2 metres. So it's been some good brim down Little Beach. Also a few luderick down there as well, with a westerly blowing as well. A little hot tip, the actual way station wharf inside the marina at Nelson Bay has been holding some really nice luderick. Although you're not going to get the numbers, you are going to get the quality in there. And also that shorter breakwall as well will hold some good luderick, and you can sort of sneak out of the westerly on that outside wall as well. So there you go. So that's what's happening in the bay. A little bit quieter this week in the bay, although I have to admit, Jack Hammond went out and smashed an absolute crack of a dewie on a soft 5, measured 1.30 metre, so that's a 20 kilo fish. So he braved the westerly. I know he got hammered on the way home. He got absolutely soaked, but if you put the effort in and you want to brave the conditions, the rewards are there, that's for sure. I spoke to Pat. He actually fished down off the beach at Nelson Bay and actually got a really nice winter flathead. So there are a couple of duskies around. You'll have to work for them though. I suggest fishing baits for them this time of year rather than lures, especially a brine pilly or a brine white bait. Just slow it all down and you should find maybe the odd flatty around. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit hard to target them. We just need that weather to warm up. Once we get into September, October, getting into flatty time. But that's the bay in a nutshell at the moment. The beaches and the rocks is where it's at, and as I said last week, the beaches and the rocks are absolutely on fire at the moment. We'll begin with the beaches. Some really nice brim around on the beaches, as you expect in the winter time. Fingal's been going off with really good brim at the moment. Live beach worms are the trick at the moment. Plenty of salmon and tailor we've seen on our socials there. We put up some nice tailor caught up from Fingal as well. It's also worth a drive into Samurai. Just make sure you let your tyres down there. Again, plenty of salmon down there in the odd brim as well. And 1 mile's got a couple of gutters on it. It'd be worth a shot at the moment. Berubie's going to be pretty tough to fish over the weekend with those westerlies at the moment. Full moon coming up, might be worth a try for a Mullaway off the beach at the moment. And speaking of which, Steve Hayne from Anna Bay came and saw me, got some of our killed worms, and got an absolute stonker last week. It went 32 kilos, an absolute beauty of a Mullaway off the beach. So it can be done in winter. The fish don't go anywhere, they just feed. We've just got to be the lucky anglers to catch them. There you go. So off the rocks, plenty of drama around. Harley got some absolute crackers during the week, as well as some nice blue groper. I think with that swell backing off this weekend, blue groper will definitely on the cards around the rock spots at the moment. Plenty of brim in the washes and also plenty of luderick. If you can get up early, have a spin off the rocks, you'll get some tailor and salmon, especially off 1 mile point there. It's a bit of a haunt for salmon and tailor. And the southern end of Box Beach as well fishes really well for tailor and a westerly. So rocks will fish really well this weekend. A couple of smaller snapper off the rocks at the moment. I think we just need that swell to jack up a little bit to get those bigger ones on feeding on and around the washes at the moment. So there you go. Rocks and beach will be the go this weekend. Now the offshore scene, we received plenty of really good photos this week of some absolute hooter snapper and also some kingies as well. So James Nugget and Brian fished Broughton during the week, had an absolute cracking session, got kingies to 1 metre, some really nice snappers. So they fished really well there, braved a bit of the westerly and caught some really nice fish. And how about Daz's fish? We put it up on Instagram last night, 8.8 kilos, absolute cracking fish, especially for Victorians. So they know what real snapper are in New South Wales. I believe he's changed over and saw the light and basically said, yep, snapper in New South Wales are bigger than the Victorian ones and they actually pull harder as well. So a little bit more steam about them up here. Anyway, some cracking snapper around as well at the moment. So if you can take advantage of that, some really good reds about as we speak. So get out there, get amongst it. Like I said, unfortunately the weekend doesn't look good, but if you have a look at next week's forecast, it looks sensational. So swing a day off. If you're feeling a bit crook, well then you can swing a day and away you go. Just make sure you go and get your COVID test. Anyway, have a good week. We'll speak next week.